Hi guys, now that we have seen the vowels in German, let's move on to take a look at the consonant sounds. So let's begin with the consonant B. It's a no-brainer. Its sound is always going to be B, but there's one thing that you have to remember and pay attention to. Whenever B comes at the end of a word or a syllable, its pronunciation is going to change to P. For example, in the word gelb, or when we say ich habe, very often you shorten it and you say ich hab. There we pronounce it as hab. Of course, don't make it too obvious. Hab, like that, simple hab. It's a subtle P sound. This phenomenon is called Auslautsverhärtung. It's a complex word. I have put a YouTube link below where I explain this phenomenon a little more in detail, so be sure to take a look at it. Let's take a look at a few examples. The word ob, which means whether or if, the pronunciation will be ob. Or another conjunction, obwohl, you have to say obwohl and not obwohl, but obwohl. Just keep that in mind for B. Now for say, the pronunciation can be quite different depending upon the word. In many international words, the pronunciation is K, as in cafe or chaos. In few words, the pronunciation is exactly as the letter sounds, ts. For example, circa. Now circa is interesting because you have two ts and each is pronounced differently. Circa. In some French words, for example, C will be pronounced as S, as in English also. For example, the word balance or chance. So depending upon the word, the sound will change. So you just need to remember which word will be pronounced how. Otherwise, it's not so difficult. Let's go on to the next consonant, which is D. Now, the question becomes, is the sound D or D? And that's a little tricky to understand. First thing is, D can produce both the sounds. So for words like do, it is more towards the D sound. Now when it comes to this sound D, as in dach or doppel, the sound can be a little confusing. For example, in my mother tongue, I come from Maharashtra, my mother tongue is Marathi. We have this sound in my mother tongue, but the way it sounds in Marathi and the way it should sound in German is slightly different. Say it, if you speak Marathi or Hindi, or I think most of the Indian languages, you know this sound. Repeat after me. D, as in dafri, door, or in Marathi, damru, doka. If you try to pronounce these words slowly, where is the tongue touching the roof of the mouth? If you observe closely, the tongue is touching the roof of the mouth slightly behind. It's slightly at the back. And that's why the sound is a little heavy, D. In German, it is not like that. You should not say Dach or Doof. That's a little too heavy. In fact, it should sound like Doof or Dach. It's a little softer. So where do you touch the tongue? To the roof of the mouth. You have to touch at the bridge between the hard and the soft palates of the mouth. What does that mean? If you trace the roof of the mouth with your tongue, you will see that there is a slight bump, after which it curves a little higher. Right? It's like a speed breaker bump, and it just curves a little higher. It's exactly at that bump where you should touch the tongue, so that it will create a soft tinkling sound. D, d, and not d, d, da, doppel. Let's take a look at a few examples like this. D, when you pronounce it, you can hear the tinkling sound. D, Deutsch, danke. Good. Now, another thing that you have to remember with day is if a word ends with day, as in if day comes at the end of a word or at the end of a syllable, its pronunciation is going to change. It's not going to be d, rather it's going to be t. For example, the word und. Here we don't pronounce it as und, but we pronounce it as und. Or the word Lied, Land, Hund. This is similar to when we had a word ending with B, the pronunciation was becoming P. With D, it becomes T. Again, take a look at the video on YouTube where I explain this phenomenon a little more in detail. So now we have the next consonant, which is F, and similar to English, F produces the sound F. Remember, the letter is F and not Fa or the Fe. The sound is of course F, just as in English. So a couple of examples: fahren or fliegen or fünf. That's it. Nothing special about F. It's nothing different than in English. So let's hop on to the next consonant, which is G. Now you need to be careful about G because there are lots of combinations of sounds that can come with G. The first rule is that in German, for all German words, originally German words, the pronunciation is always going to be G. For instance, in the words geben or Gitarre, simple like in English, but this will be Giraffe and not Giraffe, but Giraffe. In some words, however, G will give you the J sound, as in ingénieur. Repeat after me. Ingénieur. Now, how do you get this J sound? This is not like the J sound that we have in Marathi or in Hindi. So you should not say ingénieur. No, it's ingénieur. J. Now, how do you get this? It's actually fairly simple. Say shh. Once again, shh. Now, while you're saying shh, put a finger on your throat and see if you feel any vibration. Shh. If you're doing it rightly, you should not feel any vibration. That's because you do not use your vocal cords when you're saying shh. Now, use your voice while saying sh, such that it vibrates. Say shh, shh, shh. Do you feel the vibration? That's the sound that we want. So you should say ingénieur, je, which means if you whisper the word ingénieur, you should hear it ingénieur. You should hear a sh and not ingénieur, not ch. Sh, ingénieur. So that's a good way to practice the word. Whisper it saying ingénieur and then say it aloud. Ingénieur. Repeat after me. Ingénieur. ingénieur. This is a French word, so very many French words keep their pronunciations in German. The same is the case with the word engagement. Again, it's a French word, that's why even in the beginning we have an, but it's not pronounced as n, rather en, and then the first g is pronounced as ga, enga, and then it's je, engagement. It's same as ingénieur, j, engagement. And again, another word, another French word, régisseur, which means director of a film or a theatre. The pronunciation is régisseur, not régisseur, but régi, j. If you whisper it, you'll get régisseur, régisseur, that way. The last thing is when ge comes at the end of a word. Similar to the cases of be coming at the end or de coming at the end, if ge comes at the end of a word or a syllable, its pronunciation will be k. So the word would be tag and not tag, but tag. Repeat after me. Tag. Or this word, which will be Zug. It will not be Zug, but Zug. Or this one, Krieg. Here you see the diphthong is E-A, the pronunciation is E, and the word is going to be Krieg. G at the end will give you a K sound. Now, a caveat is if there is G at the end, but it's not just G, rather a combination of E-G. In this case, the pronunciation changes to Ich. It's similar to the word for I in German, which is Ich, as in the words billig or eilig. Again, here you will see the other diphthong, and towards the end it will be eilig, or the number 20. So let's move on to the next consonant, ha. The pronunciation of ha is straightforward. There are only a few cases where it is silent, although we don't call it that. We'll see that. Let's take a look at a few words. Let's take the word house. We have already seen this. It's a simple ha sound in the beginning, house. Or this one, hunt. A couple of rules are coming here. De is coming at the end, so we'll pronounce this te, but the beginning is ha, hunt. When ha comes in the middle of a word, sometimes it remains silent. Like in this word, we should never pronounce it as gehen, rather gehen. The effect is that the vowel is becoming long. We will study this part in a later module in a little bit detailed manner. For now, it is important for you to remember that the ha should not be pronounced like this when it is preceded by a vowel. In this case, it is eha. Don't pronounce it as gehen, rather say gehen. Or this word, it is näher. It's not näher, in der Nähe, nein, it is näher, in der Nähe. And now we are going to take a look at the next consonant, which is yot. It's pronounced as yot, but the sound will be y. For example, in words like ja, the simplest of words, or jetzt, which means now. Repeat after me. Jetzt, or Jacke, Januar, that's the month. Again, Januar, Juni, that's the month of June, Juni, or the following month, Juli, July, Juli. In some international words, Yot will be pronounced as j, as in joggen, which means to jog. Ich jogge. Or even this word, job. Remember, b at the end will pronounce as p, so this word will pronounce as job. And this word, journalist. Pay attention to the way the j sound is produced here. It's like in ingénieur, it's again French je, journalist. However, in some international words, yot retains its y sound. For example, words like yogurt or jaguar. In English it's jaguar, but in German it will be jaguar or Japan. That's it for yot. So next we have a group of 3 consonant sounds. We are going to jump a little, we are not going in sequence, simply because these 3 sounds, the way we produce them is very similar. We call them respiratory sounds, which means we have to exhale out when we produce these sounds. The first of this is the consonant ka. Now, especially people who speak Marathi as their mother tongue, or maybe even Hindi, this is something that you should pay special attention to, because in Marathi or in Hindi the sound is a simple k, k, but in German it is not a simple k, rather it is k. Okay, for example, let's take a look at these words, kan and not kan. You must say kan or comma. Again, comma and not simply comma. Pay attention to the vowel sound also. This is a short O, that's why it should be pronounced as O, and the word becomes comma. Also, the A comes at the end, and so it is a. So many rules are being applied in this particular word. The word becomes comma. Next we have camera. Once again, camera. And the last word in this group will be Katze. Once again, k, Katze. The next consonant sound, which also belongs to this group, will be the letter P. Again, it is not a simple P, but P, and you should make it sound like that. A few examples would be parken. You have P and K both. Say it, parken. And then plan. Once again, plan. See, the vowel I is coming. In English it would be plan, but in German we have to retain the R sound. So combining it would be plan. And lastly, person. You see, the vowel sounds are retained. In English it will be person. Here it's going to be person. Alright. The last consonant in this particular group will be T. It is also respiratory, which means we'll have to exhale out. The word is T. Once again, T and not T. When you say T, remember the position of the tongue when we did D, the bridge where the soft palate curves into the hard palate curves into the soft palate. Touch the tongue exactly there and you'll get T. Again, it's a tinkling sound. Don't make it too heavy by touching the tongue at the back. Don't make it T, rather T. The next word would be tour. Once again, tour and not tour. Lastly, temperatur. Once again, temperatur. So that's it for this lesson. We'll take a look at the remaining consonants in the next video. I'll see you there.